one and I stand on that. You and me, babe, that's black on black.
Let me welcome to the show. She's the executive director of something called White Awake. It combats white supremacy by focusing on educational resources and spiritual practices designed to support the engagement of people who've been socially categorized as quote unquote white, because that's a made up construct. And she knows this. Let me welcome to the show the one and only Eleanor Hancock. Hello.
Thank you. Hello. Oh, the crowd is cheering. It's awesome.
Yes,
they
go
Karen.
wild.
What a great introduction. My pleasure to be here. Really
thank you for coming. Now, are you the descendant of John and them?
Well, my dad's name actually is John Hancock, and his family at one point had some genealogy done. And no, it was funny though, because even as a kid, I looked at this and it was like this generation to this generation to this generation, and then there was just this big leap, and they're like John Hancock who signed the Declaration of Independence. And I was like, I don't need to be related to him, so it's okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask you this question because I always need to know, where did you get radicalized?
Yeah, God, what a big question. I mean, it's like a whole bunch of different, it's like a whole process, right? A whole bunch of different things happening. I guess around racism, particularly, that part of the story really comes online in graduate school for me. And so I grew up in Abilene, Texas, about 100,000 people. So it's not tiny, but it's very conservative. I was born in 1973, so this is, everything's integrated. But I was not like a super social kid, So anyway, I went to graduate school, and I was in some classes with an adjunct professor, faculty member in the art department who was teaching performance art. So this is the 90s now. So identity politics via performance art was really probably how it started, around just that, and like reading some books. I read Asada Shakur's autobiography, and I was just like, wait, what
made you pick? Wait, hold on, because that's not a book you just pick up. That's not a book you just pick up, Eleanor.
From Abilene, Texas.
Yeah. What led you to?
Honestly, my roommate, when I was in grad school, I think she had a copy in a house.
Okay, so your roommate had melanin.
Yes.
Okay. So your radicalization came from being in community with Black people. That's what happened.
Yes, it did. Absolutely.
It always happens. That's the only pathway. Which, so this is what I know. If everybody had some relationship with other people, that would probably cure racism. But the fact is, 75% of people who are melanemic, who identify as white, self-segregate. So your children don't have it. We got whole states, Utah and North and South Dakota, whole places where people have no relationship with anybody outside of the so-called white race. So it makes it really hard if your only introduction is through media, through movies, through television and music.
Right.
You get a very definitive way in which you see this whole entire group of people.
Right. And I think that, if you look into the history of those places, and even like take on a broader scale, like Canada is very white, doesn't have a lot of African-American people. There's people of color there, but not the same percentage as in the United States. You have to look at the history of Canada. And there's a lot of just like not letting people in. Just like setting things up in a way where, because I listened to the conversation you had with Jacqueline Badalora, and that was super cool that you brought her on the program. We refer to her work all the time in our program, our educational work that we do, because she brings in that just like baseline of legal research of how race became a legal framework, and it was to divide people. And so then you look at like, why are we so divided? It's like it's over and over again, people get divided and separated, because you really can't have people, if you're dividing them for a reason, you need to keep them divided. And so there's structures, like physical structures, like redlining and all this history that has kept us divided. And white people, often make the choice to go along with that structure, to hold it up. But I think that, having the understanding of that there's a ruling class, that there's a class of people who are who are pulling some strings and setting this up in a way where our division benefits them. And that's kind of a baseline of coming together with a shared purpose.
We're talking with Eleanor Hancock. She's the executive director of White Awake. Even Dr. Badalora got stumped when I asked her what makes her white. What does it mean to be white? Because I often ask that. She got stumped. Like she was flummoxed. Yeah, she couldn't define it. She couldn't tell me what it is, right? And I was like, that's a question that everybody needs to ask themselves. Like, what does it mean to be white? And usually when I ask that question, especially if it's like a couple of men, what does it mean to be black? And I can tell you what it means to be black. I absolutely know the definition. Have you been asked that? Have you contemplated, have you sat with that in your work with White Awake?
Well, yeah, I mean, so we teach like two of our main courses. We have the main thing we do, the main way we interact with our audience is online courses. And these are like multiple sessions that happen over the period of several weeks. And people do some study ahead of time. Then we meet live and we discuss things. But we really study the creation of whiteness. So, we also like there's actually one of my advisory council members keeps trying to get me to read this book called Whiteness is Not an Ancestor. And I love that title. So it is something that was made up. And so I think that for a person to understand our relationship to whiteness as a white person, I think it's very helpful to understand our family history and our story and the longer historical arc of what was going on in Europe. It was not heterogeneous. It was not like one group of people. There's a whole lot of different people doing a whole lot of crazy, nasty stuff to one another. And then the power structures there and the economic system that was born there that spread out and was a force through imperialism that just like took over the world. So then as you have, this is where that's why I'm surprised that Dr. Badalora, maybe she just wasn't expecting that question, but like it became illegal. I'm white because there was a legal framework that was set up that she's done such a great job researching in the early, 13 colonies. That was like, these people from Europe, we need to call them white and make them a category and give them special privileges separate from these other people. We're going to call them black and dump them way down on the bottom and keep them way down there on the bottom so that they won't ever get together, because if they did, they might throw the people on top out completely. So,
well, but the question is deeper than that, right? It's deeper than because people, you would call yourself white. People are wedded to it, right? Like, without understand what is white culture. Why is it, like they can't define what it means other than, yes, historically, this is how whiteness came. The Irish, the Italian became white, the Jewish. But what does it mean to be white?
So part of the reason you read our mission statement and part of the reason I phrased it that way is it is a category that is put on me. So it's not, I don't feel like a special personal identification with being white other than the fact that it's something I have to find a relationship with that's going to be productive because I can't get rid of it because it's not something I'm choosing for myself. It's something that's been chosen for me. So, but in terms of being working with people and their relationship to whiteness, a lot of what I want them to understand is that it's not one homogenous group of people. And that's why I think people are really attracted to, like, our biggest course of the year is an ancestry course. And we have all kind of resources for those people. Like my own people came here as part of some of the early original waves of settlers from the British Isles and stuff. So, but they've been here a long time. Other people came, like one of my colleagues there, she's Sicilian from like a couple generations back. So I think for white people to understand who we are as part of a story of different ethnic groups that have come into this context and been labeled this way, and then how we have been socialized and have a relationship to other people, that is where we think that our identity is white in a way that we're gonna, if we really go along with that, then we believe that we're superior, right? Like that's white supremacist ideology, is that we are superior. But in having more of an anti-racist identity, I think understanding your family history and the difference between that and what you're socialized to believe, it can help you to be in relationships with people of color that are a solidarity relationship, that we all have a common interest in changing the system that exploits us in different ways. And if we understand that, then I can turn around and look and say, and it exploits you more, and what can I do to have your back?
So I have two questions, Eleanor. It's great to see you. One, who was the first white? And my next one is, is how successful is your program? Like, how many people are coming in? What do you kind of accomplish? What are the goals, or is there a syllabus that you kind of go through of this is what you'll accomplish at the end?
Yeah, okay, great. See, I have no idea who the first white person was. Y'all should ask Dr.
We
Batalora.
should,
That'd be
we should
fascinating.
know. You should make it up. You should make it up.
Right?
Why not?
Thomas Jefferson. How about that?
Yes.
I think he's the first white person.
I like that. Yeah, we should do that.
Okay, well, but okay, so in our program, I mean, we're a growing platform. We have about 10,000 people on our mailing list, and you know, that's from over the past like 9 years or so, like maybe 9 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, it was 250 people. So that's something. And people often come back and take our courses over and over again, or take different ones. We actually haven't done a lot of straight up marketing because we've grown more by people having a positive experience and inviting other people in. So to me, that says that it's working. There's something there that people really resonate with. In terms of curriculum, I mean, we have like well, I guess now it's 6. We have 6 annual courses, and we kind of add programs on, and they find their time of the year when we offer them. But our sort of baseline courses are in the fall. We have sort of like a 101 foundations course. And that one is called Roots Deeper Than Whiteness. It's based off of an essay that my colleague wrote. And the idea around that one is like there's working some with emotions. And so like this idea that's been, you know, like white fragility as this thing where like white people are like, get all flustered and I can't talk about race and like this is threatening or whatever, to just work some with the emotions around that and say you've got some rootedness emotionally. Can we work with that? Can we calm down? And then also having rootedness politically and having a political economic analysis, which I think really helps take people as white people out of the position of being so defensive because it's bigger than us individually. We're part of, this is all part of a bigger structure. And then having some idea of what I was just talking about of our family stories, our the specific places in Europe that we came from and the reasons why we came here and what our people were when they weren't white, and which is our next sort of big foundation course, which is our most popular course, which is on ancestry, which happens in the wintertime. And that's called Before We Were White. And it really tries to trace back to traditional land-based cultures that people had somewhere down the way. And for, I think most white people, if you get that at some point, it's like a huge epiphany. You're like, wait, what? I thought it was a different kind of person. I didn't have that.
Eleanor,
yeah, go ahead.
Eleanor, sorry, I know we're running out of time here a little bit, but I do have one. Just you mentioned like going back to the family history. What would your response be to someone that likes the Confederate flag and says that's my heritage?
Well, I guess the place I'd probably go is someone who says that they're going to be really conservative. So I would go to economic issues that they're probably having right now. And then I would try to find some common ground there with that. Rich people they're kind of the problem, right? We can agree with that. Okay, we got that. Then you can start to throw in some history and how, honestly, part of my family history is, I don't know if y'all saw that movie Free State of Jones, but there were a lot of white farmers and working class white people who actually left the Confederate Army because they're like, I don't want to fight I'm a poor man fighting a rich man's war. And so I might try to throw in some history there to identify more with their actual economic circumstances where they can separate out and try to identify with something else other than that flag.
That's smart. Eleanor, we got less than 2 minutes. That was a great question, Sina. Eleanor Hancock, White Awake. It's a movement. She's the executive director. Is it all whiteawake.org? All white people? All melanated people?
We primarily hold caucuses for white people, but we do have a course every spring that's multiracial. It's called Unbreakable Solidarity, and it's more just diving into political and economic analysis and looking at identity in that construct and how we can bring identity into a solidarity framework.
Do you need anything? What do you need? What do you need to help break the chains that are hurting the country because of this weddedness to this made up construct? What do you need?
People. send people our way, sign up for our mailing list. I mean, we don't have a lot of programming for folks who are not white, but we do have this spring course I'd love people to come to. And also, everybody knows somebody they think they could use some good anti-racist programming. So,
and you made an assumption. You made an assumption that was wrong. Actually, 30% of our listeners are melanemic. So
no,
you could
I
clearly
believe
get
you.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, listen, much success with the White Awake. And if you are asleep in your whiteness, wake up and go to whiteawake.org and get involved with being more community based. But if you're part of this program, you already probably are. But thank you so much, Eleanor, for being here. Eleanor Hancock. And let me thank Sina as well. Sina Ghaznavi. Sina now.
I run my fingers through her hair as she smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you're lusting is the one